In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the overall pattern that we have coming up. Big time Arctic blast on the way. We have a lot of storminess going on right now, including some severe weather that's possible, so there is plenty to talk about. Let's just get straight into things, and we are taking a look at that current radar imagery with the storminess that's already taking place. Again, we've been mentioning for about a week or two now that this would be a high precipitation cold front. I don't know why my drawing just got so small. There we go. A high precipitation cold front in here. And sure enough, that is what we're seeing right now. We see this cold front bringing a ton of storminess here. And then we see the warm air bringing this storminess out ahead of it as well. So we see multiple features going on right now. Let's take a look at this pocket kind of behind the cold front. And this is where things are already cold due to the front. We have this kind of lower intensity precipitation falling here for Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota here. And these are all areas where we've seen this cold front already come through, and conditions are already a lot colder than they were beforehand. And now we're just seeing some showers behind it as well. Very, very cold rain, I would say, is probably what's happening in these areas. Now, as we look towards the kind of Great Lakes and Ohio Valley region here, we can see there is a lot of storminess in here as well. Where is the cold front in here exactly? I'm thinking about right here. So I think there's some precipitation heading out ahead of it. And maybe even perhaps it's this one back here. And this is all just precipitation heading northward out ahead of it. But really the idea is there's a cold front in there somewhere. I could try to see. I don't know how accurate this is, but we could see. Yeah, that's what I kind of pictured here. It'll probably be more by here right now, but we see this precipitation heading out ahead of it. This is pretty typical of a cold front. So very, very warm air probably out ahead of the cold front. And then obviously very, very cold air behind that cold front there is likely what's taking place. As we head a little bit further south, we can see the very southern extents of this cold front in here taking place for Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma right now. And then we see the storms again out ahead of this cold front as well taking place. Now, as we head towards the southeast, we can see plenty of this warmer air trying to head northward. I just went outside actually to take some trash outside, and it is quite warm here in Virginia as well currently and sunny. But we have these storms kind of on the way, bringing the warmer, humid air, kind of a little sneak peek back at summer. Even though we're obviously heading in the opposite direction of that, this is kind of giving a little bit of a flashback of that as we see this Gulf air really surging northward for a very brief period before this cold front rolls through. Now, I hope that gives you kind of a picture of what's happening currently. What we're going to do is move on, and we're going to take a look at the upcoming weather, as we'll take a look at the upcoming storminess, total precipitation, snowfall, and temperatures, because there is a whole lot going on in all of those departments, obviously, especially the snowfall, by the way. Stay tuned for that one. Now here we are taking a look at the upcoming storminess. As we can see, this is going to bring us to about right now, and we have a 992 millibar low pressure center up there in the Great Lakes, and the cold front is somewhere in here. We see this warm air surging northward with those storms, and then we see the cold air rolling in behind. So we see all the features taking place here. As we move on, we see this cold front by the time we're reaching tomorrow morning, Thursday, the 13th. We see a lot of the storminess extending much further eastward, our 987 millibar low pressure center there. And then we see this cold front trying to roll through just like this. We see a lot of this energy and colder air rolling in behind for sure. Definitely an interesting setup, a very, very high precipitation cold front. And this brings us much drier, colder air. Is what's kind of left behind for a lot of these areas. We still have warmth surging northward for a lot of these regions. That will come to an end very soon. That front indicating that, again, the warm side is over here still. Cold side is here. Now, let's go ahead and keep going with this. By the time we're reaching Saturday, things are a lot quieter. We still have this kind of low hanging out over here, but for the most part, a lot quieter on Saturday. And then Sunday, we start to see this next cold front develop here. Another high precipitation one. Very stretching as well. It's Sunday the 16th. And it's going to be a little lower precipitation. We do have areas in here still seeing this precipitation. And by the time I reach Tuesday there, we see a ton of cold air here for the eastern United States. And I mean much, much colder. We see plenty of snowfall happening here for New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, a lot of different states seeing unusual early time snowfall here. And then that cold kind of lifts off. We do get another low rolling across, but it just doesn't get that cold front developed. So it's not charged with cold air according to this model. And finally, we maybe break that positive PNA trend and see a negative PNA here at the end of the model run, featuring some snowfall there for the Northern Rockies and the Cascades. Take this with a grain of salt. We did see this about 10 days ago on this model as well in the very, very long range. And then after a couple of days of showing that, it did flip and show that cold air going back to the eastern United States again. So obviously we have to pay attention to trends with the models. There is a good possibility that this model does the same exact thing it did before. We have to take that into consideration, but one of these days it's going to be right and there will be cold air flipping back towards the west. It can't go on like this forever, so we have to take also the possibility in that this could be for real this time. So multiple different options on the table. I know it gets a little confusing there in the longer range when confidence is a bit lower, but all I can say is stay tuned, tune in with us daily, and we will figure it out together. Now, as far as total precipitation through the next 10 days, here we are taking a look at this, and if you're anywhere in the whites, we have basically no precipitation expected. Your grays will be 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens will be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Your blues will be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches. And then your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. We even have those browns popping up for a bit of Maine up there in the very far northeastern United States, where we expect 5 to 10 inches of precipitation up there due to that very, very high precipitation cold front that stalls out over you guys. Now, total snowfall, again, we're seeing a big increase here. If you're anywhere in the grays, we're expecting a dusting. If anything, your blues, which we see both for the Northwest here, also down here for the Southern Rockies, and the kind of northeastern and Great Lakes states of the United States here, we see a lot of these blues. That's the main areas where we're seeing snowfall here on this model run. The Northeast and Great Lakes one is very interesting to me because this is very early in the season, in my opinion. We do see purples for both of these areas as well. I think all three of these areas where we expect 6 to 10 inches of snowfall. And then even the pinks where we expect 10 to 20 inches of snowfall. I for sure see that down there for New Mexico, maybe some other spots as well. So yes, getting more snowy for sure. Obviously, as we approach November and get into November, we should see these amounts increase greatly. That's to be expected for sure. Now, the upcoming temperature pattern here, spoiler alert, I had that set a little bit ahead. We see some cooler air still set up over the East Coast. We're going to see this warm air mass move in ahead of this cold front. Obviously, again, that kind of warmer air starts to move in. But then we see the cold front come through. We have colder air in place for a lot of folks in here. This one doesn't seem as intense as the second one. I've kind of noted that before as well. We see this kind of takes hold of the eastern United States here by Saturday the 15th, and then we have this next one moving in as well. That next one is going to expand really, really quickly, though, because this is by Sunday, October 16th here. We can see just plenty of cold air for the central and kind of interior eastern United States, I would say. By Monday, we see it's just supercharged here. Definitely a ton of below normal temperatures, and these greens are going to be far below normal temperatures. By the time we reach Tuesday, the 18th here, we have tons of these greens and these blues within the greens. The blues within the greens are going to be 15 to 25 degrees below what's normal for your area during this time of year. So definitely going to be unseasonably cold, much more like December or January rather than October. Very, very far departure from what's typical. And even the greens are going to be about 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So another area that's still a far departure from what's typical. And look, it just hangs out. Okay, it arrives for the most part for most areas by Tuesday. That's Wednesday. That's Thursday. That's Friday. And it finally is moving out by the end of the model run, so it could be a good 5-day Arctic blast that really hangs out for a while. Be prepared for that also. Most of next week is going to be featuring this cooler air because of that Arctic blast. And then it's kind of a question mark after it, like we mentioned. We don't know if another one's going to move in or if that cold air surely will move into the northwest like this model's showing. Only time would truly be able to tell, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe for daily uploads. Every single day we do upload, so be sure to check those out. And I'll see you guys in the next video.